Hey everybody, my name is Brian Bland, and see, I'm already nervous. And in 2012, I was walking with my little Chihuahua dogs at a waterway and whatever, and all of a sudden I got mind speak. Go to the mountains, right? Yeah, they're giving me the energy like that. Oh man, I'm getting lit up with energy. But anyway, they said go to the mountains, and then it was just connection after connection after connection, and it's just been happening with me ever since. Um, you know, me connecting with people who I can help, maybe plant some seeds for them, and vice versa, meeting the right people. Like I met, you ever heard of Randy Brisson? He's a First Nations guy, and he was one of the first guys I actually met up with, and we went out, and right from day one, the Sasquatch started communicating with me, and then right from day one, Randy pointed out, said, "See that on the forest floor?" And there was a glyph down there. And I knew immediately that it wasn't random. And I think for about 5 years, I never took my face off the forest floor. So they definitely connect with me through them. And I'll tell you a little bit about a little more about that after. I'm just going to read a little thing from my book about core truths, and then I'll get into sharing some pictures if that's okay. So, core truths. The people, as they are referred to by a plethora of First Nations peoples, are here in this age of spiritual transition to remind us of our true universal nature and to assist us energetically, the purpose of which is to effect our reunion with the universal collective. Some refer to these forest dwellers as Sasquatch, but in essence they are no different than a multitude of benevolent Star Nations races who have arrived here at this integral space and time to undertake the same work. Basically, it's about raising one's vibrations. When one understands their infinite self, they cannot be controlled by fear or the lie of division, powerful tools employed by institutions, the handlers, societal norms, and many religious doctrines, to name a few. These created lies are designed to take power and responsibility away from oneself and surrender it to an omnipotent, invisible deity or authority. We are that omnipotent, invisible deity. We are, in conjunction with everything in creation that makes up the collective whole. We are expressions of God expressing Himself. The work at hand is to return us to that pure state of childhood, the state before humanity's long history of programming took us further and further away from whom we truly are. When we understand our true collective nature and how powerful we are, we the many cannot be controlled by the lies of the few. Losing fear is truly freeing, and when we are not under its spell, we cannot be controlled by those forces that have shackled us with it throughout our recorded history, and before, actually. Losing fear is a core truth in the transition shift we are undergoing today. The same can be said about division, which is an absolute lie and the polar opposite of who we truly are. Love is the strongest force in the universe, and when one resides in that high vibrational state, there is no such thing as fear, hate, envy, greed, or judgment. It's flawlessly complete. It's all-knowing. There are no questions or the need to formulate them. It just is. My lessons with the Sasquatch people have shown me that the conscious shift we all seek resides in that perfect state or vibration of love. It is not an actual physical place, it is a vibration, and the forest giants and other guides are here to assist us, but we must do the work ourselves, because a figurative child cannot become spiritually evolved without personally walking each and every step to get there. The work is ours, guided by wise, loving teachers. A vast number of people are being contacted today by Sasquatch and Star Nations teachers. Some would refer to us as ambassadors or intermediaries. Our work is to plant seeds, to spread these teachings far and wide to all who have the eyes and hearts to listen. We have been brought here at this specific time in man's vibrational evolution for this exact purpose. if you are one of those chosen people, do your work well and do it without fear, judgment, or division. All right. So I don't know where I want to start here. Let me think. I think one of the thing that really opened me up. I'll get into the glyphs and whatever, and some of the pictures and some of the lessons revolving around them and other things. But I think one of the things that really boosted me or whatever, or gave me a way bigger understanding of what was going on, is when I got what I call the love zap, and about a week prior to that, I was walking in the woods, and all of a sudden I was walking with 3 other people. I got this strong floral fragrance of a female Sasquatch. Quite often they smell like really beautiful flowers. And my other 2 friends, because it was specifically for me, they didn't feel it or experience it, which is not uncommon, because the Sasquatch people can give you any audible, sensory, or visual kind of feeling that they want, and it could be specific to you, or maybe 2 people in a group of 4 or something like that. So the other guys didn't feel it, but I did, and it was like so strong. It burnt my nose and my throat, my eyes, and it was kind of like an introduction to what was going to come. So a week later, I'm returning from a hike, and all of a sudden I heard a rustling in the bush to my right, and I knew it was Arrrie, the female who gave me that floral fragrance. And the female I was actually connected closest to at the time. I've kind of got a relationship with the entire clan, but she was in the forefront at that time, and she hit me up with this energy, and I called it the love zap, and I automatically started weeping uncontrollably. It was like, and I remember thinking, this is the universal source. This is this is the truth. This is the universal source. And I remember I felt a profound connection to everything. I just felt like I had no fear. I had no judgment. I felt no separation. And what was also interesting is that I had no thoughts or even the need to formulate a thought. It was kind of like it just is kind of thing. And yeah, it was like profound, and that was like a really big moment for me, because I've been moving forward from that and with that understanding ever since. And it was basically the idea of who we truly are, all one and all connected, basically, was what that was. And so yeah, the core lesson was like presented in one really big download, or I call it the love zap. But yeah, and once you experience that and you feel like you're connected to everything and the universe is connected, and that there's no coming back from that. So I'll share some pictures with you, and there's a few stories connected with them. So as I said, I was indoctrinated sort of into glyphs, and that's one of the big ways they teach me. One of the ways that they communicate with me. There's a bunch of others that I'll get into as we go on. Some of them involve these pictures, but in this particular picture, see, the thing about glyphs is that they are unique to you. They're personal to you. So people have asked me, what does this glyph mean? And I can't tell them what it means, because they literally, it's kind of like a telepathic agreement between you and them. Once you come to that understanding of what they mean, they will communicate with you according to that understanding. And like I was saying, when the ladies and I were talking, they already know I'm going to come up with that meaning years before I do. Which means that, linear time is not operate by that. They even know what I'm going to think or where I'm going to go before I do. So this was kind of interesting this day because Sue said we were walking and hiking, and she said, I wouldn't mind a sign that the Sasquatch are around. And within moments, we found this A glyph, which is actually Arrie's signature. So you can see he left that for us. And that, it's kind of like a thought, and then they give you something. I can't remember how many times, like mind speak is, for instance, it's not only, talking in your head, which I've had. It's also thought placement. It's also guiding you places. And I cannot recall how many times I've said or thought, geez, I wonder if it's like this. I'll have a thought in my head, which, as it turns out, I realize it's thought placement because I get the thought, which can be foreign to what I'm actually thinking in some cases, and then the answer is right below me on the forest path, or it'll come sometime later. But now here is Arrrie himself. I hope you can see him here. There's his nose and his head and his body, and of course he's partially cloaked. It's funny, when a picture is for you, sometimes you can see it better than anyone else, although most people can see him here. I hope you can see him. There's his head. And what happened in this particular day is that I was driving into the woods, and all of a sudden I was just overcome with their love that they give you, this incredible love. And I was just absolutely weeping unabashedly. I was just like, tears going down my cheeks. I was like, making all the sounds and everything. It was like really emotional. And I asked Arrrie, this is Arrrie, my clan leader, I asked him to visit me. And so I was just walking around taking pictures here, there, and everywhere. And because, I'm taking pictures of butterflies and bugs and plants and trees and their glyphs, their stick writing, structures and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't even realize why I took this particular picture, but after the fact, about a week later, there he was. He showed up, and he actually did come and visit me. So he granted me that. And I don't try to purposely, I take pictures of glyphs and their structures and stuff for the sake of educating people and introducing them to people, but I don't purposely try to take their picture. But, if you ask them, say, hey, I'm taking pictures if you want to show up. Sometimes they will, and they have a lot with me. I see them after the fact. Now, this is a great moment. When I first actually saw Arrrie in person for the first time, I was at a place remote in the mountains with Randy Brisson, and we saw this glyph propped up. You can see it's 3D in the sand. And like I said, this is my meaning, and it's not just like I make it up and then I think it means that. They show you that they show you repetitive, one message, one glyph after another, that's all cohesive, that's what it means. And this day kind of spoke to that too. So this is Arrie's signature A. You can see the A here. And then there's an X. You have to kind of look at it abstract. And this means friendship welcome, which is the X, from the clan of Arrrie. And check this out. You see the little one over here? The same thing as this, of the main body, and it's curved into here and propped up there. So I saw this, and then all of a sudden our attention was drawn to Randy and I both looked over to our right, behind us in the bush. It wasn't a coincidence. We didn't hear anything. We were just like, we were energetically guided to look over, and we saw Arrrie standing there, and he's maybe 12 and a half feet tall, and he's probably as wide as a Volkswagen bus. He was huge. And he just stood there for a second, and once we acknowledged that we saw him, or he knew we saw him, he just moved like a phantom not an escalator, the one that goes flat. I can't remember what the word is, but he just like, and then he just disappeared into thin air. And he just wanted me to see this and to, you know, verify the meaning, although I knew what the meaning was anyway. So yeah, so this is a really good example of their glyphs, and I'll run through a few of these. This is a signature of Fortuna, a 4. This is another example where I said, geez, I wonder if they left a glyph, because this was actually on a day where my friend and I were coming back out of the woods, and I saw one cross the path, except it was completely invisible. And when it got 3/4 of the way across, this guy materialized out of thin air and then went up the tree line. But, you know, when I said that they can give you anything audible, sensory, or visual that they want, my friend who was with me, he was not ready to see the actual Sasquatch. He saw like a little Toto dog, and I saw the Sasquatch, right? So that's how incredibly evolved they are, and how they can give anybody any perception that they want. And so at the end of that day, after we saw him, I went to the place I call the enclosure, where I hold my my gatherings, and introduce people to them that they actually invite. They energetically tell me who they want there, and so those are the people that go. And I said, like I said, oh, geez, I wonder if they left me a glyph. Thought popped into my head. It was dark out, but it had a little swivel headlamp on with a light on it. And as soon as I had that thought, switched it on, and the swivel happened to be pointing to the ground. And there, right as I thought, that was Fortuna's signature, which told me that he was the one that I saw crossing the path. Sometimes they'll draw what they observe you doing. This is one of me hiking. There's some telltale signs. Well, I mean, it's obvious that it's not random, but there's a few telltale signs that you get to know when you observe these things, like the little snapped area here is common, and how they lean a little piece up on another piece. But you can see it's like a man hiking. There's even the head. So sometimes the glyphs are messages. Sometimes they're just, like I said, they're drawing what they actually observe you doing. There's a stick man. That once again they were drawing for me. I'm just going to go through some of these pretty quick. But yeah, they're pretty nice, and quite often they will peel them, and they will really stand out. Like, you know, as you can see, this really stands out against the backdrop. So yeah, okay. Quite often they will leave a glyph with a track, and it's kind of like a calling card kind of thing. Here's the track, and here's the direction glyph right here, and I've seen dozens of those. The female up here, Raja Say, the one who gave me the love zap, she was pregnant, and she was telling me she was pregnant. As you can see, here she is, and here's the little baby that she's carrying. This is a good story. Okay, so my wife and I were in a tent, camping out, and my wife heard some heavy breathing, like a big individual breathing in the bush to our left. And my hearing is not as good as hers, so I didn't hear anything, but I could feel him. And anyway, she said, "This is Fortuna." She just had, you know, I trust, she's got a really good connection with Sasquatch too, so she just knew that it was Fortuna. And so we went to bed that night, and the next day, right on a tree, like 10 feet right in front of our tent, was this glyph. And what it is, as you can see, it's a tent. You've even got the tent floor and the tent pegs. Here are Sue and I in the tent. Here's Fortuna observing us. So once again, he's watching he's just drawing what he observed us doing. So here he is watching us in the tent. And as you can see, there's also the X, friendship welcome. But this is the interesting thing here, and this has been a recurring theme. When I look back on my glyphs and I notice stuff, this is what I'm saying, that they already knew that I was going to come to an understanding years before I did. I could never figure out what this was. This stick at the 2 o'clock angle, why it was there. I knew everything else. But as you can see, it forms a Y. And that Y means man, or Sasquatch, man connected. Or I call it man Sasquatch connected. But the longer one generally is a Sasquatch, if it is. So Sasquatch, man connected. And it's just another message of connection. He's doing the friendship welcome X. He's saying, man Sasquatch connected, we're connected to you. That's how I read it. And that's so once again, he drew what he saw us doing. This is a big structure that I found in the woods, and actually we drove in and we saw it, and then when we went out it was not there anymore, and it is basically like a spider's web of connection. Quite often when they leave these important messages, they'll have them, and then when you go out like an hour later or something, they'll take them down. This is on another day when I saw one cross the path that just materialized out of thin air, and I was getting all kinds of messages from my wife and I that day too. It was just before we got married. And here's another track, and he's just highlighting it with this vine. Another connection glyph. This is the same day as I found the one with the vine and the track, and I'm talking about mind speak and whatever. Like I said, sometimes it's words in your head, sometimes it's thought placement, and quite often it's just they will, you don't know why you do it, but they just will guide you off trail or something to find something. And I went off trail, I think maybe 2 times on this particular hike, and I found like amazing stuff like this each time. No coincidence. Here's another one way up in the mountains, not a soul around, and this is a message for my wife and I. Our glyph is the fish glyph of connection. So this was the fish glyph woven into an A, and it just means that we are connected to Arrrie and that clan. This was just before we got married too, and it's representing us in a house. You can see the little beds, and here we are on the bed, and just the construction of a house. Once again, Sue and my glyph, the fish glyph, our connection glyph, and it's got the Y there. Man, Sasquatch connected. This is a good one. And when I saw this, I knew immediately. I got like the mind speak immediately what it meant, and the words I got in my head were, "One walks with 4," and they're talking about my walk and my connection with them. And so this represents me. Here's the Sasquatch foot that represents the walk. And here's the 4. These are the 4 that I'm closest connected to. And the circle is also a very important symbol for them. So it's 1 walk with 4 and the circle of connection. And there's even different, like different stages or different levels or whatever of the walk. That's why, if you understand what I mean. Different, words escaping me, but different stages, I suppose. Here's a combination glyph, which is, just check the time there, which is 2 signatures. This is Raja Say is an H signature. I call this a combo glyph, and her father is the A, so you can see that it's a dual signature of both of them. H, A. Another one is Sue and I, the fish glyph. Now this is another one, like I said, like I said, they've proven it to me that they already know what I'm going to think, or what if they're teaching me, if it's in a teaching way, they already know what I'm going to come up with before I do. So when I first saw this, I didn't know what this Y actually meant. I just knew this was our fish glyph, and I knew that Raja Say, the female, had left this because that's her decorative touch. Um, but when I looked back and I was trying to make a video, or I made a video, I realized, oh my God. I looked back and I said, they already knew 5 years before. So this is Brian and Sue are connected. Man, Sasquatch are connected. We're connected to you. So it's a beautiful message. They don't have to leave glyphs just in the forest. They can leave them anywhere. This was right in front of my townhouse in the middle of town. Once again, an AX. Friendship welcome from the clan of Arrrie. Another one. Beautiful one. This one just brought me to tears when I saw it because it's so personal and so decorative. It's like a floral arrangement. Just so touching and thoughtful, and it just speaks of their beautiful heart and the love that they have for us. Another one they left in front of my house. People could say, well, this just fell like that. Well, no, because there were no other sticks there. But if it was just this X, I suppose it'd be like a minuscule chance. But when I seen this little thing at the bottom here, which I recognize, that eliminated that chance of any kind of coincidence. Sometimes they'll make a big one where they even read like sentences or whatever. And this is quite a complex one actually. There's a root for protection here. Here's actually my initials. Sometimes they put my name in there. It's kind of like a B. I've seen this in a few places too. I'm not sure what it means, to tell you the truth. Sense of humor. Smiley face. Once again, speaks to their heart. Here we go. Here's one I found with a bunch of footprints and whatever around. This is way deep in the mountains, and if you can see, here's a little handprint of a juvenile here. Little hands and little fingers. Some of their structures that they make. And if you notice over here, see the A? That just kind of gives it away who made it. An A for Arrrie. Some other structures. Here's one in the middle of a moat. And this is interesting because, sometimes there is bushcraft and stuff. So sometimes, people will make some of these. And I remember Sue and I came upon one that a person had made, and we were kind of like, But the very next day she went out and she found this one right in the middle of a moat. And, it was just like, come on, dummy, we make them. So just kind of, it's just like if you have any doubt or questions, they always seem to answer them. That's another structure. Oh, okay. This is really interesting. This is on a camping trip that Sue and I went on, and Arrrie actually put his face into this rock. Just two eyes. I mean, this whole top is his face. You can even see his nostrils, his nose, his big happy grin. So what kind of omnipotent being can do that? This is on the same trip, and Sue and I had just put these blankets down. We had just laid there. And about a minute later, I looked down, and there was the Friendship Welcome X. And as you can see, it's lying right on part of my blanket. So absolutely impossible for it to have got there unless they placed it there. Here's the ravens who gifted us a raven feather that day. And, Sasquatch can shapeshift into any animal, even people. If I have time, I'll try to talk about that a little bit. But one of these ravens, or Sasquatch impersonating a raven, flew over top of right over top of us, and left this feather right by the wood pile where we had the fire built. And I don't have the picture of that because Sue and I later that evening decided we were going to look at the pictures. Sue said, "Hey, let's check those pictures out." She took 3 of this feather by the woodpile, and I took 2, and all 5 were removed from our camera. Every other picture was there. That's not unusual. They've done that a lot. It might have been something sensitive there that they didn't want us to see, or for whatever reason. But yeah, the raven, one of those ravens in the previous picture, flew right over our head, directly over, and then I had some urge to go to the fire stack right after that, and he was the feather that was left there. Here's another picture that they put on my camera. They actually removed one, and then there was nothing there. And it's funny because I was relating a story to a guy and showing him, and I said to my friend who took the initial picture of mushrooms, I said, show that picture to this guy. And you know, it just happened to be that the picture I was talking about, they removed from the camera. And then later in the evening, they replaced it with this. Some more interesting pictures. Here's when I was laying on the beach and I was lit up with this blue ray, and I had so much energy that I virtually could have run up a mountain. I did actually run up a great big hill. It was dramatic, and I felt the energy coming up through my legs, up into my upper torso. And it was like a scan, more or less. Can you see the face here? This is like appearing in a cloud of smoke. I've actually had Arrrie appear in my room out of a cloud of smoke. And he became like really, really, his image, his head and his shoulders became very, very clear in that cloud of smoke. And he just looked at me for a few seconds and then it just disappeared. So this talks about that kind of stuff. Here's some universal energy. They've graced me with some really, really cool pictures that they share with me. And you can see all this, looks like hair or whatever, going around the tree. There's another picture that they put on my camera with Sue. Another one. The cloud of smoke, appearing in a cloud of smoke. Here's Arrrie photobombing us. Can you see that? Can you see that, Kelly? Nose, eyes, and you can see him, right?
I can see it.
Yeah. I'm running out of time. I haven't already said anything. Ah. Can you see the fingerprints, greasy fingerprints here?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was selling hockey
Big
cards.
fingerprints.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was selling hockey cards at the time, and they didn't like me paying attention to that, so they stole it out of my package. And there's a big story to it, but I want to get into some other stuff. So. Oh, okay, this is cool. I wanted to share this with you guys. Now this, do you remember, you know, at your conference how you had all the orbs and whatever all the time in the pictures?
Oh yeah, the Durrell took a
Yeah,
lot of them.
yeah. Sue and I were in a place called DeRoche, British Columbia, and we were talking about those pictures of yours, and Sue decided, let's take some pictures, and it was, and see if we can come up with anything. And so this is about, I think, the second in the sequence or whatever. The first picture was completely black. The second picture, a few orbs started coming in. Third one, a few more, and these are taken like, you know, like within a couple minutes, like a series of about a dozen or something. So you see more coming in. Then you see like a snowstorm of them. Then this being kind of forms out of the orbs. You can see it comes into an actual being. You can almost see a face here. Trident. And I got a real solid teaching with this, is that the teaching that I got with this that they gave me was that this omnipotent being was bringing its consciousness in from all different points of consciousness. You know, it was bringing, you know, like these orbs are coming in from all different points of consciousness, and they formed into this one being. So it speaks of, you know, how if I'm talking about Arrrie, for instance, and I'm talking to somebody else in California or somewhere 1,000 miles away, they can feel them too. kind of thing. And so their consciousness can be in all different points of consciousness. That was my lesson there. Then the being just kind of walked off the camera there. And then this is just a face right in front of Sue. And it's a female. And actually, Sunbow recommended that we go there to this place because he had been there before. And when he looked at this picture, he said, "This is the female Sasquatch that I saw there. An ancient one, I think, is how he described her." And so she visited us that night. Here's some trackways. I've only got about 10 minutes left, so maybe I'll see if maybe I'll get out of these and just do a little talk about some of the stuff that I really wanted to talk about. Oh, this is interesting though. These are some of my gifts that I got. You can see this rock here, right? It's the same color as all the other rocks, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So I picked it up and I knew it was for me. I just had a knowing. This is for me. You know how you just have that knowing. So I picked it up. Next day it turned completely black.
Wow.
And you can see it's Arrrie himself. You can see him. It's his head, shoulders. It turned black about a year later. I got this one. And when I got it, I heard a whoop. And I looked down and there it was. This is after, you know what, this is too big a story I got too many long stories for, anyway, I looked down after I heard a whoop and I got this one and it says you're getting a third. But a year later I got this one and it's got my name written on it. Can you see that? Brian.
Wow.
Yeah, wild, eh? And there were also a series of 3 glyphs that were involved in this story. I was thinking, geez, do I have enough pictures to get through this presentation? And I'm realizing I don't. It's not going to work. Yeah, and then there's the 3 of them, and you can see they're a little family. See the angle? They're all related, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got about 8 minutes left. Eh? Maybe I'll. Yeah, and then there's these 3 glyphs that were involved in it too. But anyway, I'll have to tell that some other time. So, some of the ways that they communicate with me is like, through MindSpeak, like other people, downloads. And it seems like some of these downloads, sometimes there's not all the details and whatever associated with them, but I just seem to have a big knowing, there's just I just know things for some reason. It's just like a huge knowing. And then, as I said, thought placement, where they will place a thought in my head and then provide the answer right away, guiding me around places. But I found that, energy is the universal language. Because, with words and the spoken and the written word, you can have a misunderstanding of what the meaning is, or people can lie about them or whatever. But when you understand their energy and can read it, that's the true universal language, because that can't lie when you understand it. Especially the love that they give is so pure and loving that is, And so that's that's how they communicate. So I wanted to say, they can shapeshift into anything. I've seen them as owls, I've seen them as ravens, I actually saw them as people. And it's weird because there's something off with the people. They don't look right, or they won't talk to you, or they've got like glasses like on like this, or they're all broken, or just something weird. And so, I was pretty damn sure that I had seen them as people many times. But I have a friend, Kevin Royce, and he absolutely put the cherry on top of that understanding that they literally can shapeshift into people or whatever, because he saw a family of them. He was at his place, and he saw a family walk out of the woods, and it was like a little baby or a little 3-year-old first walked out. 20 feet behind that, a dog. 20 feet behind that, a female, and then 20 feet behind that, a male. And they were all just followed single file. Like they didn't act like a family at all. And he caught a. I remember I told you about the floral fragrance that they have. The females, really, really pleasant floral fragrance. So when the female walked by him, he caught a really strong scent of her floral fragrance, right? And that was just like no doubt. It was a no-brainer. But the male didn't really like him that much. When the male walked by him, he actually growled at him. The human male, right? It looked like a human. Actually growled at him, and so that absolutely confirmed to me, without question, that they can shapeshift into people. That's how amazing they are. And it's kind of funny too, because I'm just in the process of writing that story up in my book. And so guess what happened just a few nights ago? I had a dream, right? And in this dream, I see a Sasquatch walk right by me. And just right before my eyes, then it shapeshifted into a human. So, no coincidences there. As far as their energy goes or whatever, I can tell their personalities when I feel their energy. I can tell who it is because there's personality in their energies. Like I remember when Raja say her energy was very feminine, very nurturing, kind, soft, and she was my main contact when I first had my connection with him. But she got pregnant and she had twins, and so she had to step to the background. And then when Arrrie came in, her father, it was like, holy crap, dude, back off! Like he was just like a powerhouse, like. And you know what? He did immediately. He immediately, as soon as it said back off, he did. He toned it down. But there is personality in their energy, like in their energy signatures. So. Yeah, so like what I was reading at the beginning is like, I really do think that the conscious shift is, no judgment, getting over fear, ditching the lie of separation or whatever, because that's how we're controlled by all that, right? And so that is the conscious shift, because it's all lower vibrational stuff. Just think about it. When you start judging somebody, you go to a low vibration, right? And it doesn't do you any good either, right? So we have to get over that judging. We have to get over that fear, because when we're over the fear, we're so powerful, because we can't be touched. And I actually remember, when I had that love zap, that was part of that. But like with the stuff going on in the world today, sometimes you reach a certain level of understanding or whatever, but you can't you don't always just stay there. You live life, so sometimes you up and down, right? So I remember I was like stressing over some stuff, like my wife and I getting together. How are we going to do that? That's my only source of discontent, because otherwise none of this stuff would bother me, because I know it's actually a good thing to wake us up if you look at it from that perspective, right? When something's so outrageous, it actually does wake you up, because people say, wait a minute, this isn't right. But anyway, one night I went to the woods because I was kind of in a low vibration, and I just went in there and I said to the Sasquatch, hey, I'm not myself, this isn't who I want to be, can you help me get over this fear? And it was like a light switch. I could actually feel the light switch go on. It was immediate. It was gone. They took it away just immediately. Yeah, I can't talk enough about. I could talk about them for forever, and I've got so many stories or whatever, but they're too long to really get into detail on them. But I do look at them as teachers. I look at them as just beautiful, loving beings, and they always support you. When I lost my mother, and stuff of that nature, they'd always leave a glyph or something to say, we're behind you, we support you. Oh, they're giving me that love hug right now, energy hug. So they're beautiful people, and yeah. I guess I'm done. I don't want to be, but I guess I am. Yeah.
Well, after we will have opportunity to talk at the round table some more too. But thank you so much, Brian. That was wonderful, and I can see from the comments and everything also that everybody really enjoyed being able to share in your experiences through your photos and everything too. And
Unfortunately, some of those photos, there's stories behind them that are so detailed that I just can't really cover hardly anything in 45 minutes, right? But I hope I gave some people the gist of kind of what they're about.
well, we can catch you and more of your stories on the Pork and Beans show, right?
Yeah, and also I got a YouTube channel. If you,
Yes.
it's can I say it?
Yes, please.
I don't make anything on this because I put like copyrighted music and stuff on because it's more important for me to enjoy what I'm doing than to make money off it.
All right.
But anyway, it's called Sasquatch BC: The True Story. The Pork and Beans Show, and it's on YouTube. And I've got like about 110 pork and bean shows, and probably another 250 videos that I just did of my experiences and thoughts and the teachings that they've given me and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to end the recording now.